Hello. Oh, scary. Hello everyone, welcome to the Rising Stars 2 event on New Zealand National Poetry Day. This event will showcase a few of the participants who have been involved in the Profile of 20 Young Poets radio series and podcast on Otago Access Radio. As part of the series, participants recorded their original work and were interviewed about what their poetry means to them and their creative process and what drives them to keep writing. The 6 poets that you'll hear from today have shared their work and inspirations with Dunedin and the world, and now they're going to share them with us today. Before we get started, I'd like to thank a couple of people for making this event possible. Thank you to Gig City Dunedin for letting us use this beautiful piece of technology, adding a little bit of visual flair to the event. A huge thank you to Kay Mercer and Dunedin Public Libraries for their support and enthusiasm for our young poets. Thank you to Nikki from Dunedin UNESCO City of Literature for all of your help during the Profile of 20 Young Poets series and these Rising Stars events. Thank you to Dunedin City Council's Creative Communities Scheme, who funded the initial radio series and podcast, and a big thank you to all of the poets that are going to read today. And also a big thank you to the volunteers who are helping run the tech stuff today. So put your hands together for our first poet, King's High School student, D'Angelo Wayne.
Grab a chair.
Yeah.
First. Oh, it's mine.
Like that one?
Thank you.
My name is D'Angelo and I'm going to be performing 2 pieces. The first one was on the radio station, which was Dear Light, and then the second one is Lost, I guess, Lost in the World, which I'll be doing with the guitar. So, yeah. Dear light that has discovered my fright, this day I start believing everything is right, only to see that I'm not a man. My fears create an endless stream of spears, digging into the core of what my purpose is to succeed in life. But the draining of my thoughts is a fusion of tears of one too many beers. Is that alright? To tell you that my soul hasn't made it the way I want it to, now I'm lost in a room of solitude. To see my loved ones before me seeking my every want, not all my needs, but consider this, I'ma be what I want to be, I'm what you call healthy. But no one can see the insight of my beliefs, my brain, my body, but oh damn, there's a hardy. The suspense of something that is going to happen kills, laying off the pills just for them thrills, leaving you in the room with the chills. See, I'm just a man living in a boy's body, but oddly I have a thought of disagreement to all the situations. I'm merely just another dot on the spectrum of the world, but to make a change is to make yourself bigger, enter the full-scale picture, not sing in the class of literature. Back in my mind is scared of the future, because I can't create the scene, making me wonder how and why are we here. Why am I chosen to be this guy with an arrow on his head, pointing directly at me, not knowing why, but because I'm of inability. My life is different, all our lives are different. I'm here to create a better future for my family, for my friends, and for myself. My aspirations have all laid behind me and my family, but the mentality of the family I'm so ever thankful for is wide. Wide as the mouth of the shark that I can never touch unless I want to get bitten by the teeth that I can't take. The experiences we share as a family are great, to the wonderful family outings, to the amount of birthday parties, Christmas parties, and then can we go home because you couldn't wait to just get home and be yourself. but the ongoing darkness of mind-boggling, scrambled words, music, lyrics can describe the feeling. Wait, describe the feeling. I can't describe the feeling because my mind is dark. I've ventured into a world I can't embark. The words, the words, the words, and the words are defying my greatness because I can't keep them still. I know for one that I have no will, but I'm just lost. I'm screaming, but all anyone can hear is a whisper, and no one can hear, oh please help me, I'm so gone. But I can't create an image that I don't know, and the drawings are gone, the feeling is wrong, my road is long. I can't be the victim of a misinterpreted idyllic land in my head, because I'm a boy. This is a song that I wrote at a wānanga. It was a songwriting place, I guess. Symposium is the word. And this is half English and half Māori. Should I explain the Māori part? Yeah, okay. So, te aro ia hau e hana. I'm lost, I'm questioning myself. What am I doing? He muri muri aroha no nehera. The love, I have a, no I don't have, it's a grief loss. I'm trying to see past the days. Trying to move my lyrics. Te aro ia hau e hana. Tū taki kapoa ko mangoroa e kopai ana kei runga rawara. That is a whakatauki, which means that the stars are always there. You can never see, you know that they're there, but the clouds are covering the stars, and to put it, you just know that there's always going to be someone, something, anything beyond there. You just can't see them at the time. Kei whia te aroha, where's the love? Mehe rawa hau, e rere kuri noa. Yeah, I am a leaf that is blowing through the sky by myself. He ahi ahi, poko poko, he ata hitore. That is another whakatauki, which means the fires that are the smoke from a fire that is pondering into the air, and it will always flow the way you want it to flow. Yeah, just a quick translation, but yeah. I'm so lost in this world, my visions are blurred. I'm trying to escape this deadly earth. Where do I go from here? Where do I turn? I'm finding it hard to understand. So much left to learn. Nothing but rain in my brain. I'm so tired of playing this game. I'm so lost in this world. I'm so lost in this world. I'm so lost in this world. Te aro ia hau, e aha nā he, muri Ahi poko poko He ata I tore I'm so lost in this world My visions are blurred I've been trying to escape this deadly earth Where do I go from here? Where do I turn? I'm finding it hard to understand So much left to learn
Thank you so much. Oh, I might turn this back on. Awesome. One of my favourite things about this project, the Profile of 20 Young Poets, is the range of talent that we've had through the radio station doors, and that was an amazing song. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Chloe. She is ex-youth zoner, but once a youth zoner, always a youth zoner. Isn't that right? Awesome. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I go to Queen's. I wrote this morning, so I hope it's alright. Okay. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm willing to let myself slip into an unconscious slumber in which I never wake up. I'm willing to indulge in the sweet release that will grant me forever peace, and the lease of my presence will expire. I'm willing to let the thought of me drift away from the minds I've encountered. I'm willing to become the fertilizer for the next tree to grow from, which will then be cut down and my legacy will end. I'm willing to let my friends and my family mourn over my corpse and for the teardrops to slide along the edges of my coffin. I'm willing to lie for the purpose of poetry. You see, I'm claustrophobic in extremely tight spaces. I'm fearful of the thought of mourning, especially due to my own actions. I'm mind-numbingly terrified at the thought of death. So every breath I take is a relief that drains my anxiety to continue in this bittersweet trap of optimism and hate. Appreciating the tiny things in life, in the world, is inexplicably soothing. Like watching the blade of a bird's wing caress the face of the sky as the clouds part ways. Watching the waves climb up the walls of the earth, slamming in a triumphant display, displaying crescendo. And the droplets that disperse from the violent display rest elegantly along the surface of the shore. The scent of freshly cut grass to remind me that summer is around the corner, where the sun will beat down on my skin and leak into my pores. For every day is a blessing, with little slithers of hope just waiting to be noticed.
Thank you so much, Chloe. Up next we have Sabrina, who is one of the organisers of the upcoming Dunedin High School's Poetry Slam, which we'll tell you a bit more about later on in the event. So come on up.
Hi, I'm Sabrina, I go to Otago Girls. I'm going to be doing a couple of poems. One of them's about being Jewish, which I am, and some of the casual anti-Semitism and some of the more overt anti-Semitism that I've heard in my life, being a Jewish lady. And it's a little spicy, so just be aware of that, but I'll just go for it. Because apparently it's a cool new bit of slang to use Jew as an insult. She says Jew. So I think, okay, I think everyone is taught that Jew is a dirty word, that Jew is a dirty thing, and so how strange it is for them, for me to be clean, for me to be Jew, clean by the waters of the river Nile. For me, to be a Jew, we have mastered the art of cleaning each other's blood off our own hands for thousands of years, but I don't want to speculate. All I know is that out of 171,476 words in the Oxford English Dictionary, she chose Jew when she meant greedy, oily, miserly, not a good person. You cannot call your friends Jew if you do not also mean a strength, a diversity, if you do not mean Baruch Atah Adonai, if you do not mean Shema Yisrael, if you do not mean that their ancestors waited at the bottom of Mount Sinai as if they were waiting for you to stop waiting for them, so when they came to your shores, you would be ready for their dirt on your carpet. I guess stereotypes are for a reason, right? Like how Jews valued education and knowledge because it was the only thing that couldn't be taken from them. They valued home because being chased around the desert like mice was getting tiring. When I saw a swastika spray painted in the octagon, I thought about my great-grandmother, my mother's mother's mother, how I inherited something that started and ended in a camp, and now I'm just carrying that ash through my veins. When I breathe the smoke of a line that went from Europe to America to New Zealand and still cannot escape you, the girl who called her friends Jew. I am scared. I'm scared of the boy who made Hitler his profile picture as a punchline, as a punch. I am scared of what's the best way to pick up a Jewish girl with a shovel. I'm scared of the way people cling to these jokes like something familiar, like something safe. But it is not safe when you call your friends Jew like you wish them dead. Okay, the other one, it's called The Biology Teacher, and it's about women. It's about how, like, everything that I have today as a woman is because of the sacrifices of other women, and I think that that's really important, and so I wanted to write about it. For the purposes of this demonstration, I will pull a For the purposes of this demonstration, I will pull a hat out of a rabbit, like pulling a body out of the ground. For every headstone, there's a cemetery of unmarked graves. For every woman talking, there is a forest of tongues. For every woman voting, there's a black eye and a black ocean, squid squirting ink out of fear. There's nothing to be afraid of in the sea if you are the shark. There is nothing to be afraid of in the sea if you have a boat. So cast me your fishing line, reel me in, you unlucky worm that could not catch a fish. Hook yourself under my gills and make me your science lesson dissection. For the purposes of this demonstration, you be the scalpel, the swallowed tooth, the obstructed windpipe. Let's cut each other's chests open and let our organs see the sun. There's nothing to be afraid of if you are already dead. When I was little, I thought I could learn to breathe underwater if I stayed below the surface long enough. Turns out, just because something happens for a long time doesn't always mean you can adapt to it. I want to learn how to talk to you as if not through the string between two tin cans. The distance between our tree houses is filled with nothing but jungle, and I guess I never saw myself in Tarzan. You say God, another feminist poem. You think God wasn't watching when Adam gave Eve his love the only way he knew how? You think the moon never told the tides they were beautiful before ripping them away from the shore?
Thank you so much, Sabrina. While doing this series, I've found that there's two main things that have come out of all the interviews. Either poetry is a way to tackle difficult topics, either to explain them to other people or to process them internally, which is really cool. And I'm so pleased to be able to share all these experiences with all the people that have come in. So, next up, we have Ahi. Come on.
Hello. I'm gonna do, it's not actually a poem, it's more of a speech first, and then I've got a poem after that. I am the descendant of chiefs and warriors and thinkers. I am the descendant of strong Māori women. As I sat in the wharenui of Awarua Marae, I was surrounded by Cliff Whiting's 12 representations of Māori women. 12 carvings standing larger than life that embody the resilience of women and the strength to hold a home together in the face of adversity. I looked to them and I saw their mana, I saw the tipuna of Kaitahu, and in the celebration of them I asked myself, what makes a strong Māori woman? Is it the strength to continue our lineage, the strength to fight for what is right? Is it about wellness and personal sovereignty, or is it about giving back to your iwi and overcoming great barriers? The tight grip of colonization stole from us as both Māori and women. The first colonists brought with them the idea of othering, the process by which a group or individual becomes mentally defined as not us. Colonization brought with its boxes Māori men, those to make bargains with, future farmers, future workers, Māori women, those to look at exotic, not like our wife, those sexualized beings being trained for a life of servitude. Who knows about the Māori women who fought for women's suffrage, who contested pay inequality, who stood with white women to protest for a right to abortion? Māori women are a driving force in New Zealand, but more like a strong wind than a thunderstorm, enacting change but without being seen. We were the invisible fighters. Women have an equal place in Kaitahu culture, and that place is not just in the kitchen. Colonization has forced us to forget the flexibility of women's roles. Women like Tu Haitara led war parties alongside their husband. But strength is not measured solely in the number of wars you have won or the people who will follow you. Sometimes strength wears the guise of perseverance and hard work. In my mother's living memory, Kath Brown was a prominent Kaitahu artist whose works displayed the dignity of Māori culture. As a Kaitahu leader, she shared her knowledge widely. Alva Kapu was not only the lead instigator in the creation of the Manapounamo Awards, but also a strong advocate for Māori in education, seeing education as a path of self-determination and well-being. These two women were modern-day warriors. My mother wore the effects of colonization, a sweatshirt stitched with the leftovers from colonial destruction painted in negative statistics. She left foster care at 17 with no belongings or connections, built from scratch the life my siblings and I have now. I am sheltered. I am privileged. But this privilege comes from the struggle she endured. I look at strong Māori women and I see my mother, a social worker and Māori feminist who tells us having children is the greatest achievement of her life, yet has achieved so much else as well. She is strong. She fights for every right we have access to. The resistance of Māori women against dominant male Western narratives is continuous. We have not accepted inequality. Okay, and the second one is a poem which is called Witches. Smouldering skirt, flames lick at legs, fingers tingle with what should have been magic. What exists between science and religion? Women wear hair in transit, bodies mapping the future of humankind, but shut out, unable to find a way into that church, that lab, holy grounds where they build a new world. Men with the seeds We're the roots of churches, the seeds of science. We are the ashes from which greater minds rise. Witches are light until revolution was burnt out. Resistance is funny. You never quite get it all.
Thank you so much. And Sam's here. You're up next. Come on through.
Hello. I'm feeling a bit ill at the moment, which is why it was surprising that it turned up. So I might have to stop and start a bit throughout this reading just to regain my general illnesses. Okay. The poem I'm doing is called Quantum Isolation. It is based on physics and the like. Let's get into it. It's quite fun. Initially there was nothing, but then with a crushing buzzing along came the universe, a cutting-edge creation, a brand new innovation, a stunning sight for all, including Higgs. But Higgs didn't have time to spare to look and gaze upon this breathtaking affair. She had a duty, and that was to care for the masses. So like any good particle, she constructed her field, and when done it sparkled. It was artful, stretching with strength from one edge of the universe to the other, all 480,000 Planck lengths. Time well spent. She was now content. She took time to relax in a warm pool of creationary radiation, allowed herself to zone out of the mental universe of ionization and focus instead on the elation of a task completed. And her first guest has arrived. But Higgs' delight was short-lived, for gluon passed right through her field without even saying goodbye. He came back later on, and this time brought a friend, Photon. They travelled on through, but once again failed to make any sort of rendezvous with Higgs. She didn't know what to do. Distressed, she questioned her work. This problem must be addressed. What sort of field would hope to impress with a lack of interaction with any particular guest? Was her failure in acting on impulse and making the field a scalar? Or perhaps like gluon, she should try a different flavour, tailor the field to each particle, and then maybe her beloved field would truly sparkle. Before she had time to invest more thoughts into these ideas of unrest, another two guests made their appearance. Zed and Muon strode into her field fearless, but soon they were slowing. Zed and Muon went running off like gluon. Higgs wasn't going to be lonely. However, they weren't in the mood for conversation. Full of frustration, Zed yelled, "Your field is a violation. You force me into deceleration while gluon is able to speed without limitation. Higgs, Muon and I agree. You're an aberration. Please come to that realization and close down your field. It's a burden on our fair civilization." But Higgs could not. For her field was her duty, and this torment continued through the period of universal inflation. She received no more communication. Photon and gluon moved too fast to talk, and all the others left her in isolation, vexed at their velocity discrimination. For eons, Higgs was separated in segregation. She retreated into her field. Her piece of art that sparkled now became a shield to the universe. It concealed her inner lost soul. She felt she had an imperfection, and this inner attention slowly drew her perception away from any suggestion that the universe she resided in was unimaginably spectacular. A lack of connection with others drew her into self-reflection, and thus began her regression to depression. The time that passed meant nothing to Higgs. She was still trying to find her place, make herself feel less of an outcast. She had periodically continued to ask that question of classic purpose, and the answer remained the same, to care for the masses, but now that answer lacked passion. Her duty was her duty, and that was all. No longer was her field sparkling and artful, it was now just a tool to slow others down. Higgs' despair continued year after year after year until she found the planet Earth. A planet with a place called Times Square, where up above the glare of Coca-Cola advertising was the latest cover of Time magazine, featuring an article about her titled "The God Particle." Long forgotten warmth returned to Higgs' soul. As she found a people that knew her purpose, her role, these people proclaimed there's a reason behind disallowing any old particle to speed without control. They announced that Higgs and her field were the last bone in the fossil of their beloved standard model. Higgs had a place. With a high-spirited face, she returned to deep space, now understanding herself. She is the base of a pyramid that stretches through muon, gluon, and photon, through physics, chemistry, and biology, all the way up to the human race. Higgs in her field give mass and thus give life. But this idea of her importance was still met with strife by gluon, muon, and the others, and Higgs didn't have the patience to tolerate their trouble, so she turned back to Earth and the humans, her real brothers, assisting their wonderfully ill-equipped physicists in their search for new particles and new friends. They depend on her extending a benevolent hand, attending their experiments, and in return she is able to gather more evidence on herself, discovering her true nature. And what she found was major. Higgs and her acres of sparkling field had no parting. They were the same creation. No consecration can part Higgs from her art. The maker and the made are the same. Because her fluctuating field hadn't migrated and still permeated the universe, we find that Higgs' previous isolated despair was in fact appearing anywhere and everywhere. And at some points in space and time, the Higgs field would start to race and climb, and maybe that's why some of us think, I'm a lost case and I'm feeling no belonging, no grace, no chime in my heart. The feelings you don't see behind this face ain't prime. I wish I could have faced this grime, but the despair of isolation is encased in my mind. I cannot outpace continuous nighttime. I'm not worth my space and time. These are thoughts you do experience. And while they may not seem delirious, remember the Higgs field fluctuates. It opens and closes the gates of metaphorical weight. It activates and exaggerates and inflates our sense of being isolated. But do you await the fate of abating the field's ability to dictate your traits? You appreciate that Higgs isolation resonates in all time and space. It vacillates, it generates dominating despair, but it fluctuates. It won't always dictate your great mind. Because at some point in space and some point in time, the field will decline and you will find your people. Higgs found hers. This despair of isolation only occurs in fluctuation. It will reach cessation. Look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Sam, for coming when you're not feeling so well. But yeah, it was one of my favourite things when you see two kind of hobbies and passions come together. So you love science and you love poetry, and it works so well together. I'd like to thank Sam and our next poet, Kelly, for being here from the start, the initial idea of the Profile of 20 Young Poets series, and they've helped with finding people and suggesting ideas and stuff like that. So thank you so much. And Kelly, you're up next.
So I have two poems to perform today, and the first one I wrote last night, so it'll be fun. So this poem is about a Netflix TV show called 13 Reasons Why, which I don't like very much. And this poem is called 13 Reasons Against. 1. Hannah Baker says, settle in, because I'm about to tell you the story of my life. More specifically, why my life ended. And if you're listening to this tape, you're one of the reasons why. 2. My friend said, I loved it, but it isn't for you. Her, someone who wanted to binge watch to her heart's desire. Me, someone who for over 13 months longed to feel less alone, less abnormal, to see people who struggled with the simple act of getting out of bed in the morning and the hopeless, emptying spiral of depression I was sinking further and further into. But no, this show isn't for me, because this is 3. Based on the best-selling mystery novel, spine thick of anticipation, waiting to find out who killed her, just to find out it was herself. And every single person who didn't reach out, who didn't see it coming. But suicide isn't a mystery. It isn't hidden that it is the biggest killer of people my age. It isn't hidden that there is a way to fix that, and it's goddamn time we stop pretending we need another clue. 4. But this show is for people who need a clue. Activism, awareness, ignorance. It shows people the power of their words, the steps they can take all over other people, and 5, exactly how to kill yourself. In 255 gory, glorified seconds, they spare you no detail, nothing short of a plan 6. But that's fine, right?
This show isn't for me. Isn't that why I can't see my story in Hannah's shoes? It's a spectacle with so many villains. I almost thought it was Batman, but my story, well, I guess I can count the villains too. 7. 1. There is one, and it is the scariest of them all, but surprisingly, that one didn't seem to make the cut. Because despite the 13 reasons, the 13 tapes, and the almost 13 hours, mental health didn't make an appearance. 8, because that's our problem here, right? We don't want to talk about mental health. We don't want to talk about the fact that 1 in 6 girls by the age of 20 have self-harmed. And we don't want to talk about that we have the highest suicide rate in the developed world. And we don't want to talk about how scared these people are to get help. And maybe they should be because of 9, the 13th reason. The one time we see Hannah seeking help, trying to talk to someone about the pain she is feeling, it fails. He doesn't understand. He blames her. He doesn't think it's a problem. 10, the same excuses I told myself year after year before I got help. The same ones I flash back to in that scene, thinking about all the young people watching this show, the ones that we could be helping. 11, and to do that, we need to be honest. Bullying is awful. High school can be unbelievably shit. Clay Jensen would break my heart, but 12, none of that kills a person. There is no 13-point list to explain the thought spirals that fester over months, years, the ones that can end a life. And more importantly, there is no one to blame. Suicide isn't vindictive or vengeful, it's a tragedy. So 13, I want a show I can watch. I want one that sparks discussion about the need for good services and gives a message of hope. One that doesn't need page-full articles of trigger warnings. Because in the end, Hannah Baker didn't need to die. And neither do any of the viewers. And my second poem is one of the very first poems that I wrote, so I thought it'd be fun to share. It's called Stars. Art is defined in antonyms. The black and white speak about color, the simplicity echoes our complexity, the projection of an idea is never punctual, yet it can be raw and obvious, a dichotomy within itself. Darkness emphasizes the light, and the giants become ants and vice versa. Reality is simply a tool to be manipulated, and so it is easy to see how others worship the stars, mistaking them for being inexplicable. Darkness ensues, and yet the fractures of light that still remain are more powerful than the entire sky. They are gods and spirits rather than balls of gas, their presence being here within us rather than so far removed. I always like this narrative more anyway. They make good company. Standing under them, I can feel completely alone in a sea of presence, at peace. It's somehow comforting knowing that the same eyes that watched my grandmother and my great-great-grandmother watch me as they will my granddaughters and her daughters. Generations of my blood will line the earth, and all of us will see our path directed by the stars, their patterns so vague but intricate that we see our own constellations. They feel limitless, like staring into an abyss. Their unending expanse is a tangible reminder of the walls that enclose me, that my feet can only leave the ground for a few seconds at a time, that I cannot reach them. Maybe I will never be whole until I can kiss them, until I feel my breath on their cheek, but I will never be whole anyway. The beauty down here within me, it's a flawed one, but it is beautiful nonetheless. They make me feel like I am nothing and everything. They make me forget myself. Underneath the fractured glass, I am simply human, simply me. The actions I make today will not be remembered. They are not who I am. They are not defining. When all is left is the stars, and all I was an arrangement of cells, I will not be mourned by the planets. All I am is bathed in starlight. Art is defined in antonyms, and so are we. We are limitless within our limits, hopeful through our hopelessness, We remember those who are forgotten. We are beating the odds. My path may be outlined and echoed in the sky, but the landmarks and hurdles are rooted in humanity. And this is where I will find my timelessness.
Thank you so much, everybody. Before we finish up, I'd just like to take the chance to mention a few things. So that was 6 of the poets as part of the Profile of 20 Young Poets series. You can hear some more from these guys, including an interview from the website www.oar.org.nz. There's a couple of videos up there as well. I'd also like to mention some events. So the New Zealand Young Writers Festival is happening in Dunedin on the 7th of September through to the 10th. There's this amazing program of events by and for young writers, including the Dunedin High School's Poetry Slam, which I said I would mention again on Thursday the 7th. And the event is being organised by Sabrina, who's read today. Are you still looking for people to join in?
Yes, please all
Cool.
sign up.
So if you know any poets, send them her way. So for more information on those events, you can go to youngwritersfest.nz or search for them on Facebook. And for everybody attending the Perfect 10 upstairs in the Dunningham Suite, hopefully this has been an enjoyable lead-in for all of you. So if you want to check out any of these poets, you can podcast them on www.oar.org.nz. And thank you everybody for coming along.